Yo, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dan. Today, we're gonna do some maintenance. So I bought some new spark plugs and I also got an electric fan that I'm gonna convert. I have the old mechanical fan and I heard that of course the electric fan is a little bit more quiet and a little bit more efficient. So I'm gonna get that installed today and we'll keep you guys posted. Man, every time I get into E46, it's always such a good feeling. This cabin feels super familiar and just so driver focused. They don't make them like they used to anymore. And this is why I really like the E46. Even if it's going to shambles, I'm still gonna fix it. What's going on guys? Welcome back to my office. As you could tell, the setting's a little different here and I just wanted to bring you guys back here for a little debrief on what transpired during the whole time the car was getting serviced. Now of course there were three things that I wanted to get done, and that was installing the new electric fan, and installing new secondary air pump mounts since mine were just kind of dismantled, and three, installing new spark plugs in hopes that my misfiring issues would disappear. Now like always, before we get into it, this is not a DIY video. There are plenty of tutorials out there and I don't want you guys to come back and just use this video as a tutorial and of course the worst case scenario will muck up your car. These are just my general thoughts and my experience with the service in hopes that it will help you out in the long run. So as mentioned, I took my car back to my parents' place where my uncle resides and we got started on the electric fan conversion. So obviously there are some pros of having the electric fan installed and some of them are having better mileage, quieter operation, a smoother feel, no more possibility of the clutch fan destroying your cooling system, and of course easy access to your cooling system in the engine bay. And on top of that, this was actually a gift from a friend, so it was a no-brainer and I had to get this baby on. Now, upon installing it, the trickiest part was getting the clutch fan out. You need a special tool that holds the two bolts in place for you to unlock the clutch fan with a 32mm wrench. This took us quite a bit some time, and I personally was getting a little worried that we might not get this install done. The clutch fan was actually such a nuisance to get out, and the wrench that my uncle had was pretty thick when it came to the thickness of the wrench. I didn't feel like it would kind of fit both the special tool and the wrench, but lo and behold, after some fiddling around, we got it off. Now keep in mind that this is reverse threaded, so that means you have to turn it clockwise to unscrew it and counterclockwise to tighten. So once you have it loosened, you could definitely just use your hand to loosen the rest. Unbolt some bolts on the fan shroud, take it out, and of course at the same time take the clutch fan out as well. Now once you get the clutch fan out, it was fairly simple to pop the new one back in. The new electric fan fits like a glove, and after you slide it in, you just reconnect all the connectors and you are done. Now upon installing the new electric fan, you may notice that there is an extra plug for the aux fan. You could definitely just remove the bumper and remove the aux fan, but I kept it in just as a backup just in case. Now after installing it, it was a beauty so far. I am enjoying the extra space it gives, and it obviously is much quieter compared to the clutch fan. I tested everything out and so far everything works. The AC works, the fan turns on, and so far I'm a happy camper. So if you are on the fence of getting the electric fan conversion, I highly recommend you do this. You could go to your local junkyard and see if they have an electric fan for sale, or even go buy a new one. They're very affordable these days. I think I saw one at FCP Euro for around $129 USD. Don't quote me on that. Now moving on, the secondary air pump. Now this was a refresh that I needed to do. The mounts were next to nothing and it was basically just kind of hovering over the bracket. This refresh was kind of tricky. Getting out the dead mounts was fairly easy. You just clamp it down and unscrew the bolt at the end to uninstall it. But getting the new ones on was quite challenging due to the fact that once you screw on one end, when you screw on the other end, it tends to twist a little bit. Since the middle is a rubber compound, it's not twist tighten friendly, quote unquote. So what ended up happening was when you tighten the other end, it kind of twists the rubber mount a bit, and I think this kind of gives stress and over time it breaks down. So this is something that you need to keep in mind of. Now I personally think that the way that I installed it isn't the best, or or even the proper way, but that's how I did it. But in any case, this was a breeze. I've gotten a lot of comments on how I should do a secondary air pump delete. For now, I think I'm gonna keep it on. I just bought new mounts and I still need to do more research on what a delete will do and the pros of having no secondary air pump. Now, next up were the spark plugs. Now, I know I should have done this last month where I was installing the new ignition coil. I honestly didn't think that my misfire would come back, and it apparently did. So I looked up the codes and it told me that if it's not the coil, then it is the spark plugs. So I went ahead and bought 6 new spark plugs from NGK, and the install was pretty straightforward. After I got everything all set and done, I went for a little test drive and everything was a-okay. Everything ran very smoothly and there were no hiccups. But if you are an E46 owner, you know that there are never-ending problems. So what happened next just kinda sucked. Let's take a look. Thank you for those who are watching up until this point. Just a little recap. We just did the secondary air pump mounts. We did 6 new spark plugs. Hopefully that will clear out my misfires. And of course we did the electric fan conversion. I'm super excited to see how this car runs and everything. But of course the E46 is never ending. After I got all those good maintenance parts done, lo and behold, I was presented with another surprise. I pulled the car out of the driveway and I was pressing onto the brakes. It had no brake pressure, so I topped it off with fluid because I noticed that the brake fluid was low. Topped it off and then I drove off, came back, and I looked behind and there was a huge puddle of brake fluid. So what happened was the brake line that is currently installed in the rears, it's a little bit too short. The tension on it is very tense right now, and I feel like it's rubbing against one of the rods at the back. So clearly over time it wears down and hence there's a hole there. So that's going to be another episode and another maintenance vlog, but for now I'm going to leave this parked at my parents' place and hopefully I will come back stronger than ever with new brake lines. But until then, remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'm almost at 10K over there on Instagram and of course TikTok as well. So please make sure you go on those platforms and give me some love and support. But until then, see you next time.